Today, you'll discover the hard-earned lessons Roy Coughlan learned from building 20 companies across 5 countries, from mastering tax optimization to growing a social media presence and handling unexpected legal challenges. Roy's journey is packed with insights every entrepreneur can apply.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Whether you're looking to scale, safeguard your business, or sharpen your mindset, this conversation will give you practical strategies to thrive in any market. So, Roy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Candy, for having me.
I'm happy to have you here, and this sounds like a fabulous topic. I mean, you have had a lot of experience in a lot of different countries. A lot of us are probably just used to one or maybe two, but we can learn a lot from what you have done with the 20 companies in 5 different countries. So I'd love for you maybe just to start with, what are some of the few key lessons you learned that apply to any business, no matter where you are in the world?
I suppose one is, a lot of times people, they trust their accountants and they just give their books. Some people put all the receipts into a shoebox and hand the shoebox to the accountant and, yeah, you do that thing, I'll do my thing. And I say nobody will look after your money more than you. So I'll give you an example of, I done a lot of real estate, and I was in Poland, and I had an Irish company as well for doing that. And the accountants were tax advisors as well. And they told me I had a certain bill. And I went away and I got a book called Tax Magic. It was written by a guy that worked for the revenue commissioners. And I went through every page and I highlighted all different things. And I went to him, can I do this, 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 this? You can. And I got a tax rebate. And I kind of learned from that accountants don't go, hey, you should do this, 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 so you pay less tax. They don't care. They're just billing you. Maybe there's a percentage of them that actually do care and are really trying to reduce your bill. But you need to be watching it. And even if you're because sometimes people are working from their house, you can actually kind of take a section of your house, but also the bills from it. You can take a portion of the bills as well. And one thing that I hear loads of people doing, it's tax deductible. So they start spending stuff that's tax deductible. Don't buy anything unless you need it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people, they wait till they make money to kind of start looking for tax optimization. I do that from the start. Just assume you're going to be successful and look at what's the best way to do it. Like in America, there's different states. Is it Delaware or something like that? There's places that you can do things differently. So make sure you keep the pennies in your pocket and not be handing them over to Uncle Sam, who doesn't kind of have your best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm. Actually, there's a few things I thought of just while you were saying that. And number one, I agree with you in terms of the tax preparer doesn't always look at all of the things, that maybe a business can deduct, because they have so many things that they're doing as well, too, like during tax time. They're just trying to put together all the details, and tax law changes every year here in the United States too. So it's hard to keep up on things. So it is important, if you know something is going to apply to you, maybe bring it up to your tax preparer as well, who you could say, oh, did you know this is something I learned, that will apply to my business. But I actually own a bookkeeping company. I don't do the tax, but we do the bookkeeping. And we try to get people to look at financial information with us. Like, we can sit down with you every month. We could build that into, the agreement, and we can give you clarity on what is happening with your numbers. And most people right now still are just like, I just need it for tax time, right? And they don't even want to sit down, and they're losing the opportunity to make changes that could bring about even more, growth, scaling, more profitability, in their businesses. So it amazes me sometimes how many just don't really want to look at it.
Yeah, because sometimes you can even pay a certain amount to your spouse or to your kids or something like that without tax. And it's like you're spending it anyway. So you can give your child, say, I don't know, whatever, in different countries it varies, but say if it's 1,000 a month, and then they pay for all the stuff instead of you paying for it. There's
Right.
loads of things you can do.
Even when you were talking before too about, oh, it's tax deductible, so I'm going to spend it. Well, don't buy it if you don't need it, right? There's no reason to get rid of the cash that you have just so you can get a whatever percentage deduction on there too, because again, it's like having that cash could help you be more successful, could help you grow, could do other things with that cash without just being like, oh, well, like I said, I could spend it, right? So I think that's a great tip too.
I suppose another one would be legal. If you want another tip, is I've had over 100 court cases, and
oh wow,
a lot of the times people go in because if you have a business, there's a high chance, depending if it's in construction, there's a very high chance that you'll have some legal case. And what most people do is the same thing. They sit back and they let their attorney or solicitor or whatever you call them, barrister in your country, do everything. The cases that I've won were because I was paying attention and I was watching different things, and I'd say to the attorney, or I was representing myself. So the same thing, don't just pass it over. Pay full attention, prepare, have a file, prepare everything. Go over it the night before. When you're sharp and you're in control, your solicitor, they could have hundreds of cases. You're just a client to them. Very few will actually really care about you. You're just billable hours. So when you go in there, you're representing yourself, and they're just kind of there. And to be honest, you're nearly better off representing yourself if you're able to, because you'll have a better success rate.
That's a good point. Well, I have down too that you went from being rich to personally liable for $5 million. So I would love for you to say what happened and what can entrepreneurs do to protect themselves from similar risks?
So I did a load of real estate in Poland, and I had a lot of syndicates. And I was like the small buy. I released equity. I had 3 properties in Ireland. I released equity to buy into. We were building 30 apartments. We had a commercial property. We had all different developments. And the crash happened. It took a bit longer to come across. I was doing well. I had about 14 people on my books, and they started getting in trouble. And I said, look, I put in money, and look, if you can pay me when it gets sorted, or at the end of the year, I'll increase my shareholding or charge 10% interest. I was being fair with them. And it never came right. And eventually I was kind of like, oh, I'm getting in trouble there. I'm running out of money. And the economy stopped, so people stopped buying. And so my revenue source kind of stopped as well. And eventually all the decks kind of came down. And usually with a limited liability company, it's kind of like you wash your hands, you go, all right, lesson learned, let's get started. In Poland, I was the president of a lot of companies, and I was personally liable. So that's why I was personally liable for about $5 million. And like the rest of them, they had their own issues. They just let me holding the crying baby. And that's why then I kind of went through all these court cases. But I saw so much corruption. Like I saw bailiffs working with valuers, devaluing a property, bailiffs bribing people in a room. I was told not to go there, but I had people that went. They bribed people in the room, so they had their own cronies buying it. And I think that happens internationally. And then people are personally liable. But just through that and understanding it, I got the decks cleared. It took a few years, but like that's the thing as well. If learn, like, because I know that some people, unfortunately, they put a personal guarantee. We're all optimists. Entrepreneurs are optimists. We all believe in it. We all see the sun shining. We don't believe it's going to rain on us. Don't be putting your house on the line. Just make sure that it has to wash its face. If you don't have the money to do it, wait a while and go away, or get somebody, look at different ways of doing it. But do not be personally liable, because it's bad enough losing a business. But then when you get kicked and you're taking your home and everything, because what happens unfortunately then, because of the strain, the relationship breaks up as well, and people go through incredible turmoil. So don't be putting yourself, don't make yourself personally liable. I think nobody should ever do that.
Well, even you said bribery, and that made me think, oh my goodness, there are really just in general, even if you didn't have bribery, there's so many different regulations in all of these different countries to know what you need to be doing, to be in compliance with everything, let alone someone saying, oh, well, for me to do this for you, you have to pay me X, whatever currency that is too. So like obvious, I guess, or how much does that actually happen in countries too, where you are expected to bribe someone just so you can get, let's say, your business operating or different things like that, that business owners need to be aware of? Like, if you plan to actually open a business in another country, be prepared, because you may not be able to unless you do something like this.
I think it happens in all countries, because even in Ireland, I know that there was a kind of tribunal. It cost the taxpayer millions, and it was one of the biggest developers who, the leader of the country, prior to him being the leader, he had to pay him money to get planning permission in a certain thing. And of course, your man denied it and everything. And I know 100% he did, because I actually knew the guy. And he's such a gent. And he basically said to me, you don't get planning unless you do it. And it's a horrible situation. And I even remember when I came to Poland, which is the city that I'm living in, and I was going around looking at different developments, because we were buying lots of houses, and I went into the city, and the guy that was working for the city was sending emails to me trying to sell me personal stuff from the city email. And I mean, I don't do that. I don't do bribery. It's just like, I will not tolerate that. But it just shows the stupidity of some of them. It's simple to catch them, but unfortunately it's rampant. And even when I worked in construction, so I studied construction economics and management in Ireland, and then I worked for a mechanical contractor, and for about 8.5 years, and then with another one, lots of times people would say, hey, look, increase the price, we'll give you so much. I would never do it. I know a lot of people did. I would never do it, because if somebody is able to buy you, they own you. And unfortunately, politicians, not just in the States, everywhere, Europe, the whole lot of them, they're not serving the people. They're serving who hands them the dollar. And like, all you have to do is look how much money they have in their account for a job that doesn't pay multi-millions. So you have to be ethical. And if you're getting into a business that requires that, figure out different ways to do it. Don't join the masses and be like them, because you need to be able to sleep at night.
I was thinking the same thing too, because I'm definitely a person of integrity. That's just a core, thing of mine, a value. I know some people don't see that as important, but for me, that is one of the things too. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are saying, I don't want to sacrifice my integrity to be able to operate, my business in another country. I want to follow the rules and regulations and do that too. So is there like a way to know like what countries are easier to operate in integrity versus these are the countries that are going to expect you to be doing things under the table?
I think a lot of the northern countries are more honest, like Norway and Denmark and things like that. Estonia, I've got a company now in Estonia, and I mean, it's a e-residency, but like Poland isn't that bad. I think you just have to navigate it, because it depends on the business as well. Like I knew in Ireland, there was a guy working in a restaurant. So he was a head chef, and he would make the people supplying the food buy him golf tickets for places. Otherwise, he wasn't buying the food. To me, that's disgusting. And then he bragging about it. And so it goes on at so many different levels. But it's like, you just say, no, you don't want that client. I mean, I remember we used to be taking people to matches and stuff like that. That was kind of the thing, in the hope that they were getting tenders. So that was the company. The company would say, okay, take them to a Grand Prix, take them to, Manchester United match or something like that. And it's a bribe. I mean, and so many of them do that. And then they say there was kind of laws came in where you couldn't do it. But then people were just meeting them in the car park, handing them the hamper, or just doing it different ways. And I heard in Mexico as well, like people would kind of have the Michelin star kind of restaurant. The person just goes in with their wife or their partner or whoever, and the bill is covered. So it's the same thing, especially in the medical field. It's like kickbacks and all that. And I think you just have to have integrity. I just say, no, I'm not doing this. And you just feel better. And and then when you see someone doing it, just let them know. Hey, that's not right.
Right. Well, and obviously communication is important, especially when you're dealing with, different languages or different cultures or things like that too. So, I would love for you maybe to explain, how did you become confident in your speaking with people in other countries to, be able to have these types of discussions, to be able to start these businesses in these other countries?
When I came to Poland, I mean, I just hired somebody that was doing some of the stuff for me. It was a culture shock for me in Poland, because like in Ireland, if you're doing business with someone, you kind of build long-term relationships and you kind of look at the long term. Whereas in Poland, a lot of times they were just looking to catch you, get as much out of you, and then next. So that was kind of a shock for me. But a lot of people can speak English, and even if they can't, I mean, especially now, you can use Google Translate. You can get a document, take a picture, and it translates it. You can even press the voice thing, so you can do it. But just have somebody in your corner as well, so you don't even need to be a specialist in the field. You get it, and you can just hire somebody that knows how to do it. But no matter what business I've ever got into, because I've got into a lot of different fields, I would read a load of books on it. And I would kind of study as much as I can about a thing. I would never just kind of let somebody else take control of it. Because the one thing I would actually recommend everyone to do is start learning copywriting, learn marketing. Because even if a business fails, that's still in your head. You still understand marketing. Still understand, lead generation and ads and things like that. So like there'll be plenty of people reaching out to you saying, hey, we can get you all these leads, and they'll be charging you $6,000. Then all you do is you look at all their social media and you're going, if you're so good, you'd have a massive social media. And I've seen so many clients that I've worked with that have spent thousands on people that come along and promise all this. And a lot of times when they come to me, say for my podcast coaching, I'd say, I'll work on a split. You get the clients, and they never do it. And they should bite my hand off because they'll get 10 times more money. But they don't do it because most of them doesn't work. So when you're spending marketing money, one, you need to understand there's a lot of brilliant books out there, but don't just skim through books, go on to the next one, make it like, write all your notes and what you're doing, but understand everything. And be very careful when you're handing over control, that you're not giving full control, because sometimes even say people creating a website and things like that, then they go, oh, you want to do this? You want to add a bell and a whistle? That's another $100. That's another $500. Understand how to do everything and have alternatives, that if you need to move from one to the other, don't ever let anybody control you and have power over you, whether it's social media or things like that.
Well, I know someone hearing that could say, well, that's really hard because I already wear like 20 hats for my business and I am stretched so thin and I don't know how to do a website, which is why I've hired someone, to help do it. And I don't know all of the things, that I'm hiring for. So how do I maintain control and understand exactly what's going on, make sure I'm not being taken advantage of if I'm, a foreigner doing something in another country, to make sure that I'm doing everything properly? I know what's going on, but it's still not my strength.
One is you can go to kind of business groups that will give recommendations. So somebody that's hoping to get business from you is not going to recommend somebody that's going to cheat you. And if you're going to say like Fiverr, Upwork or something like that, you can check the reviews, you can check the comments, go to Trustpilot, I think you use Yelp, and go to Google reviews, even Facebook. If you do the homework, it's never 100%. We all get caught at times, but you can then check, because it's not a race to the bottom either. Because sometimes people go, I want to get, they want the $2,000 looking website and want to pay $50. If you're paying $50, you're getting a $50 webs. But you can go away. You don't have to pay. You can get, for say $300, you can get a very good one with very good people. But you have to do the research. Don't just kind of willy-nilly just go out and go, oh, that looks all right. Because even if they've got reviews, they can pay people to come in and give reviews. So you have to check on a few different sources. And by doing your homework, you're reducing the chances of getting caught or not getting a good service.
I agree on the whole review thing too. I mean, I get people reaching out to me all the time too, saying like, pay this much and we'll give you this many followers, or people will review your business. And I'm like, that's not me. I want people who are real, true, who willingly on their own just say like, hey, I loved working with this company. They are amazing. Or they want to follow us because they enjoy what we're sharing and it's helpful for them. I'm not trying to buy numbers, or buy reviews. And so, like you said, if someone is looking, they might not know that some of those are really fake. So do you have any way for them to really identify, like if something really is valid versus this seems a little fishy?
Well, when I'm looking at the social media, I can go in and sometimes you'll see I'm having 100,000 followers here and you see zero engagement. I know you can have, whether it's on X or it's Facebook, you just nothing. And it's like, same with YouTube, they can have all the numbers, but then you go in, you see no comments, or you can even go in, look at the comments, you go, they're not natural comments. You see them as all like, I've tried different companies for promoting. I tried to get all the YouTube and everyone trying it. And I go, look, you're lying to me. Because I say straight away, I don't want bots. I don't want nothing. I'm trying to, I don't mind paying if I get genuine followers. And I hope a certain percentage stay in and then just grow it slowly. And they'll come in and they'll get the numbers. And I go, that's all bots. I know by the comments. And even though they'll show you clients and stuff like that, so there's times you get caught and if someone catches you, I review, I go out of my way. No, I make sure I go into there's somebody caught me, I don't know, it was last year or whatever, and I had done the research. I went in and I saw that they'd, 5-star here and they ended up, got the money and didn't do the work that they had promised. And I went in Facebook, I gave bad review. I have a load of channels because I have 6 podcasts, and I went through, and they were reaching out to try to stop me. And it's like, because I know I'm preventing someone else getting caught. So if someone's cheating, grand, I might get my money back, but I'll make sure the next person, if they do their research, and I'll give real details, so people will go, yeah, I understand what they're doing. So if you have got caught, do it to help others, even though you know you mightn't get the money back.
Right. Yes, valuable. So if someone is, say their, company is established in one country, but they are operating in another country, obviously the tax rules can be difficult because I'm sure the country that the income is generated from wants to have the revenue, yet you're technically operating in a different country. Like, how does that work with international taxation?
A lot of the time it's self-assessment as well. So people are actually making assessments of what they should pay. And you have to be careful with, sometimes you might set up a separate entity because, this people would have the same branch connected to it. Make sure, that was one thing that I did. I had all different companies. So I was able to save some of the stuff. And sometimes people don't do that. They put everything under the one umbrella. And if the umbrella breaks, you don't want to do that. So you want to move around. Regarding the tax, it's an iffy one because it depends where you're looking at. Like in Ireland, when you hit 50, I'd be 53 in October, and when you hit 50, you're able to get your pension. I never paid into pension; it was full contribution from the employer, so it wasn't massive money, but it was. And each year they were saying when it goes up 6%, it'll be worth this. If it goes 8%, it's worth that. And I had a bond as well. What I did is I learned the kind of tax laws. I went in and I claimed it. So you get 25% tax free, and then they charge 50% tax on the rest. So on the bond on 1 year and on the pension the next. And based on my knowledge, I got every penny back. So the revenue actually paid me. It took a few months, but I was able to do it. And so it's impossible for me to say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. They have loopholes, they have rules, there's loads of ways of doing it. But you just have to go away and research it and put things into trusts and different things. There's ways of doing things legally. I would say never do something illegally because it comes back to bite you. Just do everything right. And just look, there's ways, say Estonia, there's no corporation tax there. So you can leave the money, you can have the money growing, you can be investing in different things. So if you don't need it, whereas in Poland, you were paying the corporation tax no matter what. And then the income tax. And it was like, this doesn't serve me. I mean, I had a case where I had a construction company and the revenue owed me about 50,000 euro. It was 200,000 zloty, so it could be, yeah. And they're allowed up to 6 months to pay you. They waited till the last day on the 6 months. When I was in trouble, and it was like a tiny amount, 1,000 or something, they blocked all the accounts. They were sending people in to take our computers. And it's like, so you realise government isn't there to help you. They're there to you do all the work and they put their hand in your pocket. So just spend the time, even if it's half an hour a week or an hour a week, but don't just leave it to chance or just going to go. And the fact that you're offering that, you're doing the bookkeeping, but you're trying to they should appreciate that and understand the benefit of that and not kind of just wing it, because winging it, it doesn't work.
Well, I have a note here that you've read 100 books a year. So I would love for you to maybe talk about something that you learned that helped you make wise business decisions and, helped you with your personal growth from some of those books that you've read.
Well, I was hoping you didn't ask me to name the 100 books.
No.
I read different books. So, for example, when I lost all the stuff, had loads of court cases, I was like, how are they able to do this? I know I didn't do anything bad. They'd done everything. Like courts being corrupt and judges. I was like this. So I started learning sovereignty. I read maybe 20 books on common law, sovereignty, and then I get a lot of guests in on that. And I encourage everybody to do that because you learn the power of your signature. Because when they're writing to you or me, it's Mr. Roy, colon, all capitals, or all capitals Roy, colon. That's not me, that's the corporate entity. And that might kind of go over some people's head and they mightn't understand that. That is the most powerful thing you will learn because every single thing they do to you, whether it's jaywalking or whatever, what's the one thing they do? They'll hand you a piece of paper, sign that. You're basically just making yourself liable. And when you understand that, and it's from reading these books and say other books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, I read that, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, maybe more. That's one that you should read every few years because you'll forget things. And if the one thing I do as well is sometimes you read a book and you know you'll never read it again. I have a box by my door, a big box, and when I read a book like that, I put it to the box. When a guest comes to the, hey, help yourself. Any of the books you want, I like to just give it new life and just pass it on instead of gathering dust on the shelves. But I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry. I don't know why, people say, I don't like to read books. What they can do is audiobooks, podcasts, listen to podcasts. There's plenty of brilliant information. So there's a lot of ways that you can actually gather information. You don't have to be doing what I do, reading 100 books. But the reason I kind of read the books is it's a form of escapism. Lots of people say, oh, I'll send you the book on PDF. Not interested. I want to go away, go out in the garden or go downstairs, have a coffee and be reading. And it's my kind of get away from technology.
Well, while you were talking about that too, you mentioned the word sovereignty. So I'd love for you to say, what does that mean and why is it important?
I suppose it's standing in your own power. We were born free. And a lot of people think that we're not free, or they think councils, local authorities, governments control you, tell you what to do. And it's when you understand that, like, even with the craziness that happened in the last few years, where they're making you, wear masks and do things like that. When you understand, like I went away and done a lot of research on the dangers and stuff. They screamed at me one time. I was with my son. I didn't comply. And they couldn't do nothing because I understand my power. So it's like you don't go away and sign a form to be sovereign. You don't take a course to be sovereign. You just accept you're a free person, but you do right things. It's not that you go away and speed and do things to hurt other people. And things like mandatory, because I heard they're bringing in kind of mandatory mental health for children. I forget, Ohio or somewhere like that. And people think, I must do this because it's mandatory. Just look up the word. It's not. You will get a form that you sign and you've now agreed. So learn, like there's all trickery with the words and everything. So I would basically say being sovereign is being free. Like we were born free and we stay free, and you don't allow anyone to have power over you.
Perfect. Well, this has been an interesting discussion, and I know we're coming close to the end of the time we have together. So I wanted to ask, do you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners? And if they want more information from you, how can they contact you?
Well, I do, I'm a podcast coach, but I've also got a course as well, an online course. So if they want, they can just mention your show and I'll give them a 50% discount on the course. They just, when they're writing to me, they just say where they heard it and I'll give a discount. And they find me at roycolin.com where they'll find my 6 podcasts. I also have a virtual assistance business. So if they're looking for virtual assistants, they'll find it there or go to va.world and that's where they'll find me.
Okay, perfect. And we'll make sure we have information in our resources for the show notes too. So if people want to reach out, they can connect and get the information there. But thank you so much for being a guest today. I really enjoyed this discussion and, the kind of the information you were able to share about your experience in all these different countries. And I'm sure the listeners will have learned quite a bit from your experiences. So thank you.
No, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
And to the listener, if you enjoyed today's topic and you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.